welcome back to the Piston Show. So in this video, I would like to help you to decide which Honda CRV you should buy. Well, this is assuming that you're torn between the CRV V-Spec or the RS. The V-Spec costs 181,900 ringgit, whereas the top of the flagship RS just a shade under 200k, about 199,000 plus. There's quite a bit that separates between these two models, such as the fact that the RS comes with a hybrid powertrain, a 12-speaker Bose sound system, and noise resonator wheels, and a lot of this. It has a lot of tech, but 20k might be quite a bit for some people, and some of you may not be interested in a hybrid powertrain at all. The other thing is, the CRV has proven to be quite a sales success for Honda Malaysia. During a press conference just moments ago, Honda Malaysia has confirmed that they have received 6,500 bookings for the Honda CRV, with 1,500 already delivered. That is quite impressive. So if you're interested and you can't decide between the V-Spec or the RS, I'm here to help you make that decision. Let's do this. This is the V-Spec, that's the RS, and there's clear difference between the two. However, the devil is in the details and you need to look closer to see which is which. For starters, the V-Spec has a lot of silver details around the side, the front of the car. It also runs on regular 18-inch alloy wheels sprayed in silver. You get this silver side step, which is part of an options list, and you get basically this plastic panel as well, which you do not get in the RS. It's painted in body color. In my opinion, looks better. Towards the back of the car, you also get more plastic panels, more silver highlights, and basically, yeah, a lot of plastic panels over here as well. For the RS though, it also runs on 18-inch wheels, but they're painted in black. There's gloss black finishing, which to my eyes looks better. A lot of the panels around the car are finished in body color, which looks better as well. Even this, you see in the V-Spec, is painted in very regular plastic. Over here, it's finished off in body color, which looks a lot better. You see, this is all painted in body color, whereas this is just looks cheapish plastic. So in that sense, I think the RS obviously looks more premium. It better be, because Honda wants more money for it. And the way to tell whether it's a hybrid or not is to see whether it has this blue highlight around the car, around the emblem, the Honda emblem. The other way to tell whether it's an RS or not, the side mirror of the V-Spec is painted in body color, whereas the RS is painted in gloss black. Inside of the CRV, well, this is the V-Spec. You get this wood-like trimming over here, which looks good, but this is not real wood. It's just a film that's meant to look like wood. And basically, it looks very much like the Honda CRV, the Honda Civic. So this is the interior that we first saw with the Honda Civic, and it's basically what we are getting, the same interior again for the CRV. However, there are some highlights over here that distinguish the CRV from the Civic, such as the fact that the CRV now comes with memory seats, and then besides that you get a charge pad over here, wireless charge pad. You get this, and it feels a lot more spacious, a lot more bigger over here than obviously the Civic as well. This is, after all, the flagship model for Honda. For infotainment, well, you get wireless Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto. You get this part analog, part digital speedometer, which we've seen before, and you get pedal shifters. This is for the V-Spec model. Interior, fit, finish, quality, looks and feels really nice. There's no doubt about it. Interior of the RS, on the other hand, well, before we jump in, let's just take a quick moment to appreciate these seats. These are one of the biggest updates to the new CRV. They are thicker, they have more padding, they look better, and they're just a lot more comfortable and supportive as compared to the old ones in the previous generation CRV. And this is the RS model, so you see they're all stitched in red. You get this red stitching over here around the doors, and you get silver panels, where else in the V-Spec you get wood trim panels. At least they look like wood. And over here, well, it's pretty much the same as the one in the V-Spec. However, there are certain differences, such as the fact that the RS comes with a drive mode selector. So you get Econ, Normal and Sport. And besides that, you also get a digital meter panel. And of course, you get your usual infotainment screen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. One of the biggest updates to the CRV RS though is the fact that it now comes with Bose sound system. We'll try this out shortly. Overall, the interior of the RS, well, may look the same, but once you start poking and prodding around it, you start to realize that it's actually quite plush and quite nice in here. The general layout though is the same as the V-Spec. Now though, the key difference between these two cars are in the way they drive. The Honda CRV has sold so well. Shouldn't come as too big of a surprise though. The car has obviously evolved to something that is just simply unrecognizable in the traditional sense. Of course, you get the usual CRV goodies such as comfort, spaciousness, and to a certain degree, power and refinement as well. But on the topic of spaciousness, I really like how big the car has become. Now, sitting next to me is our editorial guy, Timothy, just out of frame. Both of us are not exactly what you would call small. We are actually quite wide with a bit of extras on the sides. So there's probably about a foot, perhaps half a foot between us. That's just testament to how big the car has become.
Keep right at the fork.
That's just the GPS talking. You're going to be hearing a lot of that. We are on the way to Penang right now with a few stops in between, so don't mind that. The other thing that I really like about the new CRV is how refined it is. You get active noise control in here in the V-Spec. In fact, you get it across all the new CRVs. And that just basically, what it does is it emits sound cancellation frequencies to limit how noisy the interior is. The RS variant takes it a notch further because it comes with sound resonator wheels, which I'll talk about later. What that ultimately results in is a rather quiet interior. It's not bad. We are doing some legal speeds right now, right about 100 kilometers per hour right now, and I'm not really raising my voice to present this video, which is just testament to how refined the interior is. I am getting some tire raw back in here, but I think just a swap of the tire choice would do that some good. We are running on Toyos right now, 18-inch Toyo tires, so perhaps something else might help with the tire noise. Anyway, you're getting a 1.5-litre turbocharged engine making 193 PS and 243 Newton meters of torque, and power is sent to all four wheels via a conventional CVT transmission. Now, I'm not usually a fan of CVT transmissions, but I have to say that CVT gearboxes have come a long way over the years. You still, however, get this drone every time you put your foot down. Don't really hear it though. Now, I can't decide whether that's the refinement of the gearbox or the active noise cancellation at work. Either way, you don't really hear it. And the other thing that is good about it is that power delivery is nearly instantaneous. There's just about half a second of lag, and then power is delivered. Now, power is sent to all four wheels, as I was saying. And what that usually means is that fuel efficiency takes a hit. Now, that's the other thing about the RS. It's going to be more fuel efficient. Not only is it a hybrid, but it's also a front-wheel drive model. So naturally, the RS is going to be more efficient than the V-Spec. But what the V-Spec does is basically give you a traditional powertrain. So if you're not into hybrids, well, perhaps this might do it for you. The other thing that I really appreciate about the new CRV are the seats. Now, the one thing about the previous generation Honda CRV was that the seats were a little bit on the smallish side, and they were particularly hard in terms of the cushioning that they had to offer. This, though, are much nicer than the previous generation model. That is a huge plus point for the new CRV. It comes with a complete ADAS suite that includes things like collision mitigation braking system, adaptive driving beam that basically turns on and off the headlights basically by itself as well. Then you get the usuals like road departure mitigation, lane keep assist system, and one of my favorites is the adaptive cruise control. But it does not only have adaptive cruise control, but it also has low speed follow system. The low speed follow allows you to turn on the adaptive cruise control when you're stuck in heavy traffic. And the other thing that I find to be really smart is a lead car departure notification system. Now, let's be honest, a lot of us Malaysians, when we are stuck at the traffic lights or in traffic, what do we do? Even though we are not supposed to do it, but most of us are on our phones, right? We are browsing social media, replying emails, messages, whatever. And I can almost guarantee that almost all of us have been the cause of traffic being backed up because we are on our phones and we don't realize that the front car has moved on. Now, we have such a system called the lead car departure notification system, where the car actually notifies you when the car ahead has actually moved, well, ahead. So that I find to be quite a handy system, even though, you know, as I said, we're not supposed to be on our phones, but again, most of us do it anyway. Now, the one thing that I really wish that Honda would soon introduce to all of its cars in Malaysia, because they do have this system on a global level, and that's the blind spot monitoring system. Now, of course, you have the lane watch assist system with Malaysian Hondas. Now, that just helps you monitor your blind spot on the left. So there's actually a camera on the left side mirror that actually, you know, shows you what's on your left-hand side by actually projecting the image onto the central display infotainment system. That only works for the left side of the car. For the right, you're still on your own. Now, a blind spot monitoring system would perfect this package. And the CRV has basically matured to be a complete family SUV. But a review is never complete until I jump in the back seats. That's what I'm going to do right now before jumping behind the wheel of the RS. Let's do this. The spaciousness obviously continues to the back seats as well. In fact, it's probably the biggest CRV ever produced. It's not probably, it's most definitely, in fact. I have acres and acres of legroom, and one of the key things that matters at the back here is the safety perspective. Of course, the CRV being a comfortable runabout vehicle, which is quite literally what CRV stands for, it's also a great family car. And being a family car, what matters here is safety systems for the family, obviously. So you also get stuff like ISOFIX mounts, you get 8 airbags, you get a bunch of electronic safety systems such as vehicle stability assist, agile handling assist, Obviously ABS, EBD, auto brake hold. Check out the number of safety systems that you're getting, and which makes it perfectly suited, in fact, for life as a family mover, or even for a car that you want to buy to be driven in. Yes, it's good enough to be driven in as well. In fact, the CEO of Honda Malaysia is driven in a Honda CRV. And one of the things that I really like about the back seat of the CRV, besides the fact that it's impressively spacious, is that the backrests are reclinable. So in case you get tired, you can simply recline the backrests and get even more comfortable. No complaints. From behind the wheel of the hybrid version of the CRV, the first thing that you'll notice here after jumping in from the turbo variant, the V-Spec variant, is that the RS, the hybrid, feels smoother. It's a little bit quieter in here, and you don't really pick up on a lot of the vibrations from the V-Spec. Now, there are a couple of reasons why. First of all, the way Honda creates its hybrids is that, basically, simply said, there's no gearbox. Power is sent directly to the front wheels, to the electric motors. It's a little bit complicated, but to put it simply, there is no gearbox in the traditional sense of the word. There is a gearbox to move you forward and a gearbox to move you backward. So there is something there, but there's no multiple ratios like you would get in the V-Spec variant. So rather than explaining extensively to the layman, Honda just decided to call it ECVT. Simple. Basically, it just means that power is sent directly to the electric motor at the front. And unlike the V-Spec, this is a two-wheel drive model. So it does not only omit on the gearbox, the CVT gearbox, but there's also no drive shaft linking the front to the back. So there's something else that completely reduces vibrations that ultimately get transferred back into the cabin. So what that results in is an interior that is very nice, very quiet, very vibrations free. And then when you put your foot down, suddenly you get the sounds that makes you think that there is a gearbox underneath. However, Honda plays a clever trick with this. They call it augmented sounds. What does augmented sound mean, you ask? Well, basically, there's a system underneath here that pipes noise and sounds, fancy noises and sounds, that makes it sound like a conventional powertrain is working underneath you. And these sounds are piped back into the cabin via the speakers. So I'm stuck in a bit of traffic right now, but let me see if I can back up. I'm gonna move into sport mode. I just have about a couple meters. Now listen to this. It sounds like it's shifting, but how can it shift when there's no gearbox underneath? Right? So this is what augmented sounds mean. Anyway, is that a good thing or a bad thing? In terms of efficiency, it's a very good thing, because in the V-Spec, we were doing about 8.9 kilometers per liter. Here, in the hybrid, right now we are doing about 14.7 kilometers per liter. And this is highway mileage, yeah? I know if I'm in traffic later and such, I'm gonna get better mileage. In fact, Honda claims that the hybrid variant of the CRV does more than 20 kilometers per liter. Efficiency is obviously what this car is made for. But not only that, it's just a nice car to drive. You get a 12-speaker Bose sound system. How can you argue against that, right? It's a really nice sounding sound system as well. In fact, this is the first time that Honda Malaysia has included a Bose sound system into their car. and they've priced it below 200k. That's just fantastic. In fact, when we drove this car in Thailand, we were speculating that the hybrid variant would cost above just about 220, maybe 210 at the very least, or 230 at the very most. And when Honda Malaysia announced the price, all of us were blown away. So well done to Honda Malaysia for that. Talking about Thailand, when we drove this car in Thailand, it also came with a full panoramic roof and 7 seats. The Malaysian spec doesn't have that. It doesn't have 7 seats because this car is locally assembled in Pago. So, Honda Malaysia has always just made 5-seater CRVs. So for them to add 2 more seats, it would have required a huge amount of investment to actually, prepare the assembly line for to prepare 7-seat CRVs. So rather than doing that, they just upscaled the CRV, included some fancy sound systems, made it feel very premium, and what you ultimately get is a very spacious boot as well. And since there's no panoramic roof, the flex of the body is reduced. So because it's full metal up there, so body rigidity is improved. And what that ultimately gives you is better handling. Of course, you may not feel that until you start throwing the car into corners, which chances are you may not do that since it is a big, heavy family SUV. But just know that since there's no panoramic glass roof at the top, and there's more steel or aluminium in this for this car, this ultimately results in a more rigid body. Besides that though, the interior does a superb job at just isolating the cabin from the horrors of the road underneath. And another way that it does that is by using noise resonator wheels. This is designed to not only suppress noise but to absorb vibrations as well. And it results in a very nice, comfortable interior. Besides that, of course, you also get active noise cancellation that just cancels out all ambient sounds and such. And all of that work together to create a car that feels lush, premium, and more expensive than what it really is. So back to the topic of the powertrain. As I was saying earlier, the V-Spec uses a 1.5 litre turbocharged engine, whereas the hybrid variant uses a 2 litre naturally aspirated engine, making 184 PS and 335 Newton meters of torque. Now, the power figures that I'm telling you is from the electric motor, and what that ultimately results in is a rather rapid, if you want to get going, it's obliging. There's no doubt about it, it doesn't feel underpowered, which in the general sense of things is actually not a bad thing, because this after all is a family mover. And if you start comparing this against its competitors such as the likes of the X70, the likes of the CX-5, perhaps even the Cherry Tiggo 8 Pro, and what else? I already said the CX-5. I think the CRV RS variant may not be the most powerful, but it's perhaps one of the most comfortable in terms of spaciousness and sitting position. And I also got to say that it's perhaps one of, if not the most efficient, because you simply cannot argue against how efficient the powertrain of the RS version is. It's also comfortable, which is something I've already said, but the one thing that I didn't mention is the suspension setup of both these cars. So both cars share identical suspension settings, McPherson struts together with multi-link suspension. So this ultimately results in a car that feels blunted. When you're sitting at the back, over some bad roads earlier when we were driving over some kampong roads, I thought it did really well at absorbing ruts and undulations and bumps and such. It did really well at just, soaking things up before you felt it in the cabin. And now, on the highway, when you really want to get going, I actually really like the way it sounds. Let's just take a moment to appreciate this. And at some speeds that will get my license confiscated, it feels planted. So ultimately, this results in a package that's refined, efficient, comfortable, and quite fun. For the back seat of the hybrid variant, it's pretty much the same as the V-Spec, as the petrol-powered model. You get 2 USB ports, Type-C USB ports, you get 2 air conditioning vents, kind of spacious, a lot of space in fact at the back here. Again, you get reclinable seats, which is fantastic and something that I truly appreciate. I'm sure just about anybody can appreciate that as well. The one thing that I noticed and I thought was a bit of a missed opportunity when we first drove this car was I thought Honda should have also included air conditioning vents at the side over here rather than just at the bottom. I did ask the large project leader for the CRV during a press conference, and he explained that the reason why they don't do that is it would have made the pillar over here just a little bit too thick, and again, that's a production issue. But besides that, there's no problem at the back here. It's plush, it's comfortable, it's spacious. What else could you want? Ultimately, the question comes down to which is the better buy, the V variant or the RS? As I've already mentioned, the V variant at its price, 181,900 ringgit, has quite a bit to offer, there's no doubt about it. But in my books, the RS just does it better. Even though it's roughly about close to 20k more than the V variant, I just think that it's worth the price because you get a more comfortable ride, a smoother, vibration-free ride, you get the same amount of spaciousness, and that fuel efficiency just makes it a lot better in that sense. So if you're thinking about the something between the V variant or the RS, my advice would be to just go for the RS. It's going to be worth it, and I'm sure you will love it. The only way that you can really tell is to drive both cars back to back, which I've already done. So, as I've said, between the V and the RS has my pick. Don't believe me? Well, Honda Malaysia has already sold 6,500 units of the CRV. The most popular version is obviously the V. However, the RS, the hybrid, is picking up in demand, and now there's close to a 4-month waiting period for the hybrid. Yes, it's picking up in demand. Go check it out, and perhaps if the salesman lets you, take the V-Spec and the hybrid out for a test drive back to back. Then let me know what you think in the comment section below, because in my books, I think the hybrid is the better drive. Thank you for watching. As usual, do consider subscribing.